Welcome back to another video. We're talking about something that I've had on my mind for a little while now, and that is whether or not, because obviously I like manga. I'm almost 27 and I read manga and watch anime. So you might be thinking, somebody who doesn't know much about anime, you might be thinking that, you know, if you're someone who doesn't really know much about Japanese comic books and Japanese animation, you might be thinking, isn't that stuff just for kids? Or if your knowledge is just about Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh, which is fine. Not everybody is into manga, or not everybody knows everything about manga and anime. Excuse me, but not all manga and anime are just for kids. I mean, you've probably seen the two most commercialized and most popular manga and anime series here in the United States anyways, that everybody knows is Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh, because that is everywhere. You can't go, and especially Pokemon, you cannot go anywhere without finding at least one Pokemon reference. Walmart, Target, any of the big name department stores, even like Best Buy and stuff. They have Pokemon movies, Pokemon video games, Pokemon clothes, lunch boxes. Pretty much anything that you can slap the Pokemon name and brand onto, they probably have, because it's just that popular worldwide. And so that's probably the main, I guess, the main stereotype, or the main, so I don't want to say it's a stereotype, but the main, it's like the one manga and anime that people know of because it's such a household name. It's been running now for 20 some odd years now. 23 years, I would say it's running. And they just keep coming out with games and movies and more Pokemon and cards and manga books and stuff like that. It's just so commercially successful that everybody knows about it. And the same thing with Yu-Gi-Oh! They make manga, movies, games, cards, everything, the whole thing. Anything that you can think of that they can slap the Yu-Gi-Oh! Name or branding on, they have. And I collect Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff, so I'm guilty of liking it. But we're not talking about those today. We're talking about more of the opposite end of the spectrum today. Not hentai, but you can probably, I don't know if you can see hentai from there, but you're getting pretty close to it. It's like horror manga, horror and gore manga. First one, that's not necessarily full-on gore, is, it still has a mature rating for a good reason, and that one is Goblin Slayer. This got a lot of media coverage, especially within, like, I think the manga community especially sort of blew up when they heard that Goblin Slayer was getting an anime adaptation, because there's a certain thing that happens in this book that if you've read Goblin Slayer or you've seen the anime adaptation, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I want to be as vague as possible while also being as descriptive as possible, because I don't want this video to get removed from YouTube. There's a thing that happens. The goblins are all dudes, and the only way they can reproduce is by finding young women, young girls, and taking them back to their caves and doing things with them that these women don't necessarily want to do. So that, I think, explains what I'm trying to say well enough to the people who can actually understand that. I don't want to have to show you, because then that's a guarantee that this video is going to get taken down. But if you've seen the anime, because you probably have, because it got so much attention, it's not for kids. Not at all for children. That's why it has a mature rating on the back of it. So this is a good example of not all manga is for kids. Same thing with Berserk. I think that has an older teen rating though, which is weird. Another one that has an older teen rating that I enjoyed reading was, this one's not exactly as bad, but it's still graphic. And there are still some scenes of suggested, of some man doing a couple things he probably shouldn't in the second book, the second manga of the series, and that's Magical Girl Apocalypse. It's really good if you love horror, if you love gore. It's very, like, I'm afraid to show any sort of artwork. I mean, I've already talked about it in a previous video, so and I've only read the first 3 manga in the series, but I think that's enough to realize that it's not for kids. So the short answer of this video is, to the question of, is all anime / manga for kids? No is the short answer. The more descriptive answer is no. There's a series like Magical Girl Apocalypse, Berserk, which I don't have readily available, and Goblin Slayer. And there's many more out there that are like these two, that follow the horror, shock horror sort of trope, I guess, or that feature a lot. I don't want to say it's a trope, but they feature a lot of gore and violence, and especially Magical Girl Apocalypse. This is like the most violent. I know I said it was the weirdest manga that I've ever read, but it's definitely so far the most violent one that I've read so far. And I like it because I like that kind of stuff. I like gore, I like horror, I like shock horror and stuff like that. That's just me though, it's not for everyone, and I understand that. And these are published by Yen Press and Seven Seas Publishing respectively, so you can probably go to their websites and find it. I mean, Goblin Slayers, you can get it at Barnes & Noble. Magical Girl Apocalypse, I just kind of like stumbled upon the first 3 novels at Barnes & Noble one day, and I was like, alright, I'm looking for something new to read. So I got 3 of them, and I can say that I want to read more. So again, if you've never read or seen either of these manga / anime, I would recommend it, but only watch it at your own discretion, because they are somewhat violent and bloody and gory and not for everybody. If you want something that's still gory but not like a mystery sort of detective sort of manga, Black Butler's good as well. So I would highly recommend reading more manga. So to answer the question again, no, not all manga is for kids. It's just everybody sort of seems to think that it is, because the 2 most popular mangas / animes here in the States are Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And also Digimon for a while. I don't know if you'd consider that an anime. Oh, also Cory in the House is a good one too.